B2B founders, if you're wondering, what does it look like to go from this around 2 to 5 million mark to break into the $10 million a year revenue range? What is the journey that you have to go through to get there? I'm Jean-Michel. I run a growth agency, and I'd love to just show you behind the scenes. What does it look like to actually achieve growth? And let me tell you, it's not about some silver bullet tactic or just using this one weird trick, right? It's a journey to actually transform your business into a growth machine. So let me show you exactly how it works down here in Loom. All right, so how does it look like? What does the journey actually look like to sustainably add growth? And I'm telling you, this is no secret. There's no secret. It's a bunch of hard work and partnering with the right people that have been there, done that. And so I'm going to just show you what does it look like starting from the top to the bottom. And so to help my memory, I've got a little system here. So we're going to call it growth systems. All right. So growth systems. So the first thing that we need to do is just recognize that you're at a ceiling. So the first one, we're going to call this gauge the ceiling. You have to realize that you're at a ceiling, that it's not, the growth rate has slowed. You have to recognize this. Otherwise, you wouldn't take any additional risk. There's no reason to do any changes unless you notice, okay, actually our rate of growth is slowing. So this is where a lot of people will jump to tactics, but the most powerful high leverage thing that we can do is rework the offer. And that doesn't mean reinvent your whole business and do something wildly different. It just means find another offer that you can more easily sell. So rework the offer. Once you've reworked the offer, what do you do next? Optimize your existing sales process. So optimize the sales process. You got to map and fix what's broken between that first touch and the close. And once you do that, the next thing is to wire the team. Make sure the team is trained on this new framework. If you're at this point in the game, the first thing we want to do is make sure all the leads that you're getting have the best chance of closing. Another way to say that is you've got people learning about you, coming into your world. You'd like to help as many of them as you can. And that's why it's so important. Before we do anything about top of funnel and getting more leads, let's make sure that we're closing everyone we can. This is usually the shortest, quickest thing we can do to add revenue, is to tweak the way you're selling right now. Okay, then what? Then we turn on the outbound. Now, most businesses, they have to be already doing outbound to get to this point at all. So it's more that we're going to take your outbound motion and make sure it's up to date. A lot of people, maybe they're not inboxing well, maybe the team that's running it hasn't made any significant changes since they started, and the outbound motion that you're running, maybe you're happy if you get 0.9% reply rate. You don't have to be doing that. You can still get 2% or better reply rates. My best campaigns today are getting 4% to 5% reply rate on cold email. So it is possible if you just basically do the right stuff. If you have a strategy that your audience actually appreciates, you'll see that in your open rates. So that's the next thing. Make sure your outbound is cranking. And the reason we do that is it's a low cash flow risk to adjust your outbound. It's usually the next thing that makes the most sense. So once you've kind of removed the kinks in the funnel and you've got outbound cranking, the next thing to do is to hook up ads. What does that mean to successfully hook up the ad system? It means not just, hey, run some ads and get some awareness about the business or advertise my business. For businesses that I help, typically what we're doing is we're running a funnel that is selling a phone call, not the product. So we're making sure that we are filling your sales team's calendars with people that are interested in your new easy to convert offer. Now, once ads are running well, then you want to make sure that you are setting the appointments. And that means that there's somebody confirming calls, that you have an SDR, making sure everybody's qualified, that they're showing up. That is the next step. When you have ads, you must have a salesperson setting. Next, we're going to yield qualified calls. What does that mean? Now you're getting real calls and bookings in your calendar for your sales team to close. This means really making sure that you start to increase friction, that we are making sure you get the right people. I've talked to so many founders, they worked with a marketer and they said, yeah, they promised us calls and we got calls, but these are junior people. It's a waste of my time. So you have to make sure that you have all the systems in place. They're going to keep those people out, and that you set up your unit economics so that you know you can afford to get the calls that are qualified and not waste your team's time. Now that you've got this, we're going to score your data. Everybody can build a financial model, and we know A lot of it is a bunch of assumptions and hope, and that's not what we want to do. At this point in the game, you have a solid foundation of data. You're running outbound, you're running ads, you have a sales team. All of these have numbers, and it's so much more important that we know your real financial model based on your internal house data that you've proven. This is the cost per call. This is the cost to acquire a customer. And based on that, we can score your data and decide what is the appropriate amount of cash flow to put into which channel so that you really are making sure you're getting the returns at the right time. It's possible to run profitable ads that kill your cash flow. And that's not what nobody wants to deal with that. So we will make sure that your unit economics make sense. That's the next step, is really, scoring your data, making a solid financial model. So at this point, with that data, we can identify and target the bottleneck. When you have all those numbers, it becomes really clear what is your actual constraint to growth. You have an entire proven model with your own real data to back it up. We can look at this versus industry numbers and our own intuition and what we know about your industry and what you know about your customers. And that's where we can say, look, here is the bottleneck. And the hard thing to do for everybody is to not keep going towards craftsmanship and making everything nice, and to shift all the appropriate, in a responsible way, put as many resources as you can only on killing that bottleneck. And that's how you unlock it. And so once you've done that, at this point, I would say you've earned the million. You've earned the million at that point. So doing all this gives you a scalable, proven, sustainable channel to add millions in net new revenue per year. So what happens after that? Then you need to mobilize your leaders. So I've had the privilege of establishing leadership teams at billion-dollar publicly traded companies and also smaller companies for entrepreneurs that are hitting this stage. So what you do at this point is mobilize leaders. And that might sound like fluff, but what it means is we need to have a simple system so everyone understands what is the work of a leader, what do they need to do, so that all the problem solving and risks don't just go up to you, that you do have people who have some skin in the game, who you're sharing your wins with, that can help you grow your business. And finally, the last step is to strengthen your operations. So I've had the good fortune of being trained by senior executives from Toyota, and Toyota knew me, and it's been an amazing experience. And I love passing on some of the best experience there on how do you deal with all this growth. And the fun thing about marketing is it kind of forces problems to the surface. You take a system and you start cranking it. You take your business system and you start really revving it hard, and that's where things break. And believe it or not, getting on the Inc. 1000 list actually is a predictor of the business failing very soon. It's hard to deal with growth. So you have to make sure that you have the right systems in place for your operations. And so this is the whole journey of growth systems, of growing. And if you'd like help, if you're somewhere along this journey and you'd like some help getting to the next stage, drop me a line.